Welcome to When Creativity Knocks All-Star Designers Spring Series.
On today's episode, Judi is going to show us how to make a chalkboard art card. I'm here with Judi from JudiKin, and Judi is going to show us a great technique that she came up with, not only to do an Easter card, but thank you cards for about any application.
What I have been seeing is a lot of chalkboard art.
Oh, big time chalkboard,
and I thought, you know, that's really, it looks like a lot of fun, but how can I do that with rubber stamps? So, one of the things that I need is black paper. And now I have black paper, but the black paper is always printed, or it's, you know, it comes professional and it's always exactly the same color.
Right.
So one of the things with chalkboard,
it's more kind of...
it's dusty, or there's just a little bit of texture in the, or it looks like a little bit of texture, and I thought, I can do this with dyeing my paper. So what I have is, I have some RIT Dye here, and this is the black.
And you're just not watering it down, you're using it straight up, full application.
I'm just using it straight out of the bottle here. And I'm just going to pour a little bit in the bottom of my bowl. Be sure you close the lid here, because you don't
want her do that.
You don't want black ink all over the or black dye all over the place. Then I'm going to use my little sponge paintbrush here, and I just paint on the dye right on the paper.
Wow, it really is going nice on the paper.
It comes on, it's nice and smooth. Now the type of paper that I'm using is important too. This is an uncoated cardstock.
Okay.
And so it kind of absorbs the paint nicely. And whoops, you just kind of brush it from side to side.
Okay.
Now, I actually needed to use 2 coats of this, but even at this, you can see how you get these little striations of light and dark there.
Yes.
But if you let it dry, it actually is a little bit of a, kind of almost a chocolate brown. It's a really, really dark, it's not quite black on the paper until you add that second coat.
Okay.
So this is what it looks like on the second coat.
Wow.
And you can see how it really looks like kind of a chalkboard
It really does.
It's not shiny, and so then, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp and I'm going to emboss it. But I'm going to emboss it with white embossing powder.
Okay. And that's the key, is the white embossing powder?
That's the key. So I'm going to take my, this is this really pretty etched border. And the reason why I liked it is because it has these little lines in it. And that's kind of what they've been doing with the chalkboard art.
Yeah, they're always putting those little hash marks in there.
Exactly, exactly. And then let's stamp the design out. So I'm using a little bit of clear ink here. This is...
is it clear embossing powder? I mean, embossing ink?
It's like a clear embossing ink. It's actually tinted a little bit pink, but when it's on the black, it kind of looks clear. And you just stamp your design like so. And so you can kind of see it. I don't know if you can see that on there.
Yeah, I really think you can. I can.
Good, good. All right, and then that will help us when we want to apply the embossing powder. So you just take your opaque white embossing powder and pour it on there. Shake off any excess. And then now what we want to do is we want to heat this to set it. So I'm going to take my heat gun, turn on my heat gun, and just let that hot air blow right over the powder, and it'll melt the powder. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the thank you here. So I just ink this up. Same thing. Just stamp it kind of right in the center. And I apply, you notice I'm applying the embossing powder as I go. And the reason why is because if I wait to emboss the whole thing at one time, there's a good chance that the powder is going to blow away from the areas where the ink is dried. Okay, and I'm going to stamp one more time with my border. Just kind of line it up. And I don't mind if my stamp design is a little bit crooked, because that's what gives it that kind of homemade or handmade look. And don't worry about all of these little dots sticking to it, because that actually looks like chalk.
Yeah, the chalk flakes that coming down.
Right, right. So we're going to heat this up again. I want to add one more element, and that's this crazy little
He's so adorable.
crazy little fluffy chick. He looks like he's got a mohawk. If you look down like this, you could actually see where you're placing that design. And if you're very careful, once I put the powder on here, you'll see I've got my little chickie standing on the top of the U.
Look how cute that is.
Not bad, huh?
Oh, it's really cute.
Okay, then we're going to take our heat gun, we're going to emboss that. And again, I'm not worried about all those little white flecks, because that actually makes it look like it's real chalkboard. Now, I have this wonderful tassel that's going to be hanging off the side of my card here, but because it's kind of springy and Eastery theme, I thought, well, I'm going to take one of these Smoothfoam eggs and I want to decorate it. What I did was I painted it first with the Deco Art chalk paint, and that's what gives it this nice matte surface, so that when I stamp it, it's going to stamp evenly. So I take my ink, my stamp. I'm going to actually flip this upside down. This is a little different than the way you would normally stamp your stamp.
You know, I stamp most of my stamps this way. I find it much easier because you can really see what you're stamping on your rubber.
Interesting. Okay. And then if I take my egg here, I'm going to roll this on the stamp, and you can see how I'm getting the design on there. And then pick another spot and just kind of keep rolling your stamp, or excuse me, rolling your egg until you get the whole thing covered. Now you have to be a little bit careful, because if the ink is wet, you're going to smear it. But this is a fast drying permanent ink. I might have to ink my stamp again, but you can kind of see how you get the pattern on there.
That is so great.
And I would continue on the top of it here. But I want to show you then what I did on my card is I took the tassel and I threaded it through the egg. We punched, you know, I made a little hole in the egg here.
Just like with a toothpick or something?
Yeah, big fat toothpick. And then I pushed my cord through from my tassel. Then what I did was I used this hot glue gun from AdTech, and I took these little crystals and I actually hot glued them.
Because they wouldn't fit through the cord.
They don't fit through the cord, but
Very
I wanted
smart.
a couple of little extra bits of bling on the end of the tassel with the egg.
I just love the look of that, and it just gives it really a nice final finish on your card.
Isn't that fun?
It really is. Thank you so much for sharing this with us today.
You're absolutely welcome.
I love that card Judy did.
It was really great technique.
Using RIT Dye on paper to make faux chalkboard, amazing.
Really, really neat.
Like us on Facebook.
Follow us on Twitter, and be sure to sign up on the front page of our website for our newsletter and be eligible to win one of our weekly prize packages full of product from our sponsors.
Tune in next week for another great project.